Welcome to the Next Set podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Rehan Tahir. This show is going to be about everyday humans who want to train with purpose and perform better in real life. We'll break down strength and conditioning, exercise and fitness, along with mindset with coaches who live it. So let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to the Next Set podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Rehan Tahir. I am very excited today. We have Coach Jeremy Hare. Coach Jeremy and I go back, way back. I don't even know how many years. It's been like
I was,
25 something years.
yeah, it's 25. I was thinking about it today.
Yeah, so you and I go way back, and I'm excited about this. I want to talk about coaching. I want to talk about sports, specifically sports performance and leadership in general. And I want to hear your perspectives. And I think our listeners are going to really be excited about this one. So, Coach, let me just jump into it with you directly, and just can you introduce yourself? Give yourself an introduction. Talk about your background, and then we'll get into it. We'll jump into some good conversation today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Jeremy. Currently, I'm Director of Client Relations, which my company calls, that's what our Director of Sales are, because we're a relationship based company where our sales reps are client relationship managers, and it's just a different feel. So currently, that's the position I've been in for 3 years now. Um, Coaching started when I was a senior in high school. I coached a little league team, a little league t-ball team for my senior hours of high school. Um, Athlete my whole life. And when I graduated high school, I started refereeing water polo. And I did that for a year and realized this is not what I don't want to. I want to be a part of the sport, but not like this. Um, I had an opportunity, and that's where it started, right? And then I just fell in love with it. Much more fulfilling as a coach for a win than it was as a player,
Mhm.
and just try to progress my coaching career as best I could and made it all the way to the college level. Coached a little bit with our USA water polo system, and then that coach salespeople. And I'm trying to apply the same principles from little league to softball to water polo to swimming to packaging sales.
Awesome. Yeah,
And
and that I think we're gonna hear what that relationship and the coaching, how that applies across those different things. But I want to kind of get I want to look early back and say, how did you
okay,
get involved in sports in general? You mentioned from an early age. What were your sports? I mean, I know at some point you got into bodybuilding, powerlifting, and that's
yeah,
kind of how you and I met. So let's get a little bit of that background.
yeah. Growing up, I played baseball and basketball up until I got into high school, and then high school it was basketball and water polo.
Mhm.
Basketball ended real quick after my freshman year, and it became water polo and swimming. Um, yeah, and I just really loved that, right? And then after high school, um, you realize how many calories you were burning. So all of a sudden, I became this big giant person, and I found the gym. I found diet. I found exercise. I was doing, like keto and like 3 days on, 2 days off kind of stuff, and really just like diving into fitness at that point.
Yep.
And that's
So in
about the
terms
time that we were probably meeting.
Yeah, I think and so for those that don't know, I used to manage and own some sports nutrition stores with a good buddy of ours. And Jeremy would come in and he was one of our reps for one of our vendors. And I mean, I think we hit it off pretty early. And obviously bonding over, bodybuilding and powerlifting and Ronnie Coleman videos and all that stuff. So I mean,
Unbelievable.
yeah, we had some good times. Um, so when you first kind of got into coaching. You mentioned it in high school, but really, what was that transition like for you? And can you talk a little bit about your experience there and maybe some of that perspective?
Yeah, so transitioning the coaching initially was a little bit difficult. I was young, I was 19, and I was
Mhm.
back coaching high school kids. So like relatively, like some of them were still playing when I was there. Um, and my first year there, I tried to be this real like authoritarian yeller and screamer because I was young and I didn't understand. I thought that was how that's what I saw my whole life from people
Mm.
that commanded respect. So that's what I thought I was going to have to do in order for these athletes to want to play for me or respect me, that I've got to yell and scream and throw fits and do this and do that. Um, so it's a tough transition, like trying to figure that out. You know, it took some time and some definitely coaching for me, you know.
So would you say what was there like a single point that you can think of, or kind of what changed that perspective? How did that evolving perspective on coaching happen,
Um,
or that evolution?
the coach that I was working with, we had kind of separated a little bit for the summer, and he had taken the girls and I had taken the boys. And he hadn't seen me start to develop these like, kind of yelling and screaming tendencies. And then he came and watched the game, and afterwards, like that's not how he was,
Yeah.
you know. And afterwards, he just kind of told me like, "Hey, what are you doing? You know, think about when coaching is done is at practice. So
Mm.
stop yelling all of these things for them to do. If you did your job right, you did those things at practice, and now you just need to figure out how to manage playing time and manage athletes in the water, right? Like, and if you can do that, and so I read Phil Jackson's book a long, long time ago, where he really highlighted on coaching's done at practice, managing's done at game time. And if your
Hmm.
athletes know what their job is and they know what your system is, and you're consistent in that methodology of how you run practice or how you substitute or why you substitute, they can count on that too. And the comfort level gets really high. You know, if they trust that you're going to make the best decision for them, they'll just give you everything,
Yeah.
you know? Um, and that was a big change. Coach Bill Grisham is his name. Coached at Arlington, won the first boys championship, won first girls championships, won a bunch of championships that the school just never had, retired, couldn't take it anymore, and now he coaches at Poly High School, still coaching. I got to induct him into the Athletic Hall of Fame at our high school 2 years ago.
Nice.
And then the team that we coached in '98 got inducted into the like Ring of Honor or like that kind of thing in the Hall of Fame as well. So it's really cool to be able to induct him because he really helped mold me into being the coach um, in person I am today, right? Like,
Yeah.
he has a bunch of sons that played water polo for him and thousands of very successful kids that have played water polo for him. And he reached out and asked if I would come and introduce them. And it meant a lot, right? That dude's done a lot for me and for a lot of other people.
You and I met a couple weeks ago and kind of prepped for this a little bit. And what stands out, you kind of reminded me, we were talking about some of the relationships you have with your own athletes that you've kind of maintained over the years. And that coaching athlete relationship is really impactful for a lot of youth, especially who are trying to figure it out, not just with athletics, but also with life, with academics and navigating high school and college and beyond. And so I mean, what's your perspective there? How have you been able to kind of give back to some of your own athletes over the years?
It's one of those, I mean, you can see yourself in the people that you're coaching sometimes, and you can see like the opposite of yourself in people you're coaching. And as I've gotten older, I've just and more mature in my comfort level of directness and um, comfortability with coaching. And it's just you see things differently, right?
Mm.
Like um, I move too fast, so I consistently have to tell myself to slow down. I'm thinking like 7 plays ahead, and then I'll get really frustrated because I expect you to be 7 plays ahead, but you're just playing even with the game. His job's different, and understanding that everybody that you coach needs a different style is really how relationships get built.
Mm.
Like it's trust, you know. and you give kids opportunity to perform and get out of their way, right? Teach them everything they need to know, prepare them physically and mentally. It's kind of like you wind the thing up on the back of the, and then get out of their way because
Yeah.
they wouldn't be playing for me in college if they weren't already really good at what they do, right?
Yep. How hard is it to kind of take that step back? I mean, you're obviously going to be proud of your kids as a coach and want them to succeed, but being that invested in the kid, that invested in winning and trying to teach a winning mindset, what are some strategies that you use for yourself to be able to kind of bring yourself back and let them play, let them flow?
You have to, and frustration happens like it happened today during my daughter's softball games. Like, why would they do that? But it's the competitor in you. But you have like what I've really tried to think, and this is never more evident than what I do now, is just because I wake up at 4 a.m. and that's when I start doing things, that doesn't mean it's the right way, and that doesn't mean it's what everybody else should be doing. And at first, that's what I would do it like this. And so if everybody else wasn't doing it like that, it was wrong.
Right.
But it's not wrong, right? Like there's a lot of ways to do things, and some people's mind or some people's bodies move different, and it's a more efficient way. Like they just so as I've matured, just learning that, right? You ask about like the coach player relationship. For me, I can remember coaches that have just made drastic changes in the way that I felt or acted or behaved, that have helped me immensely. Some people that might be teachers,
Hmm.
you know, that's not
Yep.
me, right? Like nothing against teachers. I've had some great ones, but it's been coaches that have had the most impact, and even the teacher I can think about that had a big impact on my life. His name started with coach, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that's what coaches are, right? You're teaching. You're just teaching in a different framework and in a different model. I mean, you're still a teacher at heart, I think, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Like we might
Yeah.
not be teaching academics,
Yeah.
but I feel like, when my wife and I first started dating and I wanted um my new stepdaughter to start playing softball, she had never done competitive sports like that. And my wife didn't really understand. And it's like competitive sports are where you learn how to lose.
Hmm.
And we don't have enough people that are out there learning that you can lose and still come back and win. You can lose and lose and lose and lose and still come back and win. You know, you can never win, but have little wins in each game where you get better. And that's the cool thing
Sure.
about coaching, right? Like 6U softball. I got there earlier today and there was little girls playing. And when I coach 6U softball, that is such a satisfying age group because you get these girls that have never put on a glove, never swung a bat, never caught or anything like that. And at the beginning of the season, it looks like a herd of cats chasing a ball. And at the end of the season, like they're throwing it across the field to first and making catches and they're hitting the ball and they understand the game and they're calling outs and right, like you can see this huge growth.
Yeah.
And that's what coaching's about.
Yeah. You just reminded me too, and that's why I'm chuckling because my nephew had his first year of youth soccer a couple of years ago.
Okay.
That sport's not for him. He's heavily into baseball and he's actually pretty good.
Okay.
But when he was playing soccer, he just was not into it. I remember being on the field and watching these kids just running around this field. I mean, they didn't even know which way direction they were going. It was just so funny to
No,
watch them, but they were having
it's like
fun,
a
most of them.
it's
Yeah.
like a bumble of bees around the ball, just going all around. And you
Yeah.
have that one kid that just has this amazing footwork because they're a natural, they've been watching their parents or their brothers or sisters. But everybody else is doing what, that's why we
Yeah.
do softball. We're not soccer players.
Right.
Yeah.
So, so you mentioned something, and I did a short video on this a couple of days or maybe a week or so ago about failure. Failure is feedback.
Yeah.
And I think that you touched on it a little bit earlier in terms of practice and how to kind of separate practice from playing the game and managing the game. How much at this point do you think encouraging failure is important to just the outcome of winning eventually? I mean that's really where you can experiment, right? And that's where almost like this place where players can feel out not only the coaches system and the training staff's system or their conditioning programs, but their own talent and really kind of experiment with their skill set there. What do you think about that? How does failure play into that?
Failure is huge, right? Like the world that I live in now is all cold calling, all door knocking, and my sales reps might see 150, 200 doors in a week and nobody called them back, right? But then the first door the next week is a huge customer that they end up keeping for the rest of their time here. And it's a difficult job, right? Coaching
Hmm.
salespeople to be in a commission only structure is difficult and it's a high failure rate. But I'm finding that the ones that practice, that just go every day and keep repeating the cold calls, working on their craft, right? Like then when the people call them back at game time, it's different, right? The vocabulary is different. The content, like, oh, they've already told me no 4 times. You know, what's the worst that can happen? They say
Right.
no. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And
Yep.
so having that mentality has, we have these earnest moment things that we hand out. I think I've given you one.
Yep. I have
Um,
found it in my jacket pocket the other day.
one of mine, so we all sit around and come up with these things and we find them and we send them. We read it and we send it. And, I've got something that I've been saying for a long time, right? Like it's always no if you don't ask,
Hmm.
right? And sometimes you just got to ask and you just never know what you can get if you ask. If you can't think that everybody else knows what you want.
Yep.
If you want
So,
more playing time,
can you repeat that
you
one more time? Let's
you
emphasize
can't
that.
you can't think that everybody else knows what you want. If you want more playing time, you have to work harder and vocalize that you want more playing time, and you're going to find out how to get it. You want to make more money at whatever you do, work harder and vocalize that you want to do that and get to the people, keep asking questions until you get to the people that can do that.
Yep.
Um, I can't assume that my wife knows what I want or
You,
any of my salespeople. Like it's very clear. My salespeople know what's expected. We talk about it. I coach them to it. It's they understand that. And there's no, I mean, it's gray because they're sales, right? But they understand the rules and they follow them and it works very well.
yeah. No, and I think you bring up a good point because, in the terms of you know, um, asking the question, you might get a different response day to day anyways. I mean, one person's mood could change in the, blink of an eye. And so, you kind of talk about, not knowing basically we're not mind readers. We can't read each other's minds. But there's got to be I think, a framework or a set of principles that you probably coach by. And maybe you could talk a little bit about that. Do you have some guiding principles for your teams that, you've shared with them, or kind of what does that look like for your team in terms of the coaching mindset?
I mean, I really believe that there's just two things that we can control,
Hmm.
and that's attitude and effort.
There you go.
Um, and that's my philosophy. If you have a good attitude and you give good effort, at some point you're going to get good results. And in the company that I work for now, these kids go and they knock doors and they knock doors and they knock doors and they don't get results and they fail and they fail and they fail. And then bam, the first one orders, they break the seal. It's like throwing that first strike. It's
Hmm.
making your first goal. It opens it up and they're like, oh, well, that time I did this. Boom, mental note. They go back and then I'm trying to create this team environment where all these highly competitive salespeople come back and it's not like a bowl of piranhas. It's like, it's a mind group that gets together and they actually help each other and they benefit each other.
Right.
We had another division that did it this way and they've been highly successful since they've opened and uh, they've modeled it on their own. They come in on their own. It's pretty fun to watch as a team starts playing well together. They want
Mhm.
to play more together,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
Um, it's never like, oh man, we got another game. Like if they're playing well, like, I can't wait for the next game. And
Yeah.
then you have like the super competitive ones that if they're not playing well, they can't wait even more for the next game, you know? Um, the the kids that are going to move on to do some high level stuff after you coach them.
Those are the things that I think people take with them for life, right? Like you talked about attitude and effort, and I think those are huge, especially attitude. I mean, being a coach, there's only so much you can do if someone does not come in with the right attitude. If someone is not coachable, if someone thinks they know it all, like for example, teaching firearms is one of the things that I've gotten heavily into the last couple of years. And so coming in with the right attitude is huge. If someone comes in and thinks I've been shooting all my life and I know everything, and yet they don't have the proper grip or the proper stance or the proper mechanics behind their shooting form, and they're not open to change, you're not going to really be able to do much. And same thing with someone who might be coming in and with a weight loss or body composition change, and they assume that they kind of know it all, and they're getting the same results that they've always gotten, and they're not getting any different results because they're not open to getting the right coaching or hearing the coach's advice. And so, has there been some times where you've had some tough athletes and or team members, even in your leadership role today, where you've had to have someone, or work with someone closely and help modify or help transform their attitude? What are some success stories there? Do you have any examples of that?
Oh, 100%. I remember, I mean, very clearly, there was a kid that I coached in high school, and at the beginning of the season, he couldn't do any push-ups. And the reason I
Mhm.
know that is because the very first practice, he had to get out and try to do a lot of push-ups because all he did was talk when I talked or not listen and do things wrong. And there was no other way. And it was just swimming wouldn't break him because he was really slow and he wasn't in shape. But within a month, the kid could do 20 push-ups in a row. And by the end of the season, it was just like, you got to do 40 because you're just not, and he got really strong. And he ended up playing, made it to the varsity team, graduated high school, became a teacher, and became a water polo coach at the high school that he coached. Right?
That's
Like so,
amazing.
so
Yeah.
he went from being like this kid that was just kind of screwing around, and everybody knew his name because I yelled his last name a lot, you know, um, and it was funny, but he absolutely turned it around, became a great player, a great teacher, and a coach.
Yeah. So what do you think? I mean, what are some of the reasons behind that? What does someone need? Because I'm a big believer. I don't think everyone is, you come in with the wrong attitude. I'm a big believer that some people can definitely change, but what is it behind that mechanism that gets people inspired to change? I mean, that's a big one, right?
Well, like I think for him, um, even though he was in trouble, it was almost like a playful that he was in trouble, right? Like,
Mm,
and he understood it, and I would ask him, like, "Do you know why you're coming back up here?" And it wasn't just like,
yeah,
what I found out after that first year of yelling and screaming at people is, my dad yelled and screamed a lot. And I would turn that off so fast and glaze over and let everything go and then hope that my ADHD brain could summarize it after he was done and I could process some kind of response.
yeah.
And that's exactly what I like. It came to the realization that I start screaming and they're just flipping me off in their head. And
Hmm.
they're saying, when is this guy going to be done?
Yeah,
And when I finally realized that I needed to be done, we got better. I got better for sure. The team played better. They wanted to play better. They played harder. It was a big change.
yeah. And that probably comes back to the relationship building you spoke about earlier, right? Like really, having the right relationship is a part of that, right? I mean, there could be wrong relationships, but developing and nurturing the right relationship for the right person, using that transformative leadership style, right? And kind of meeting that person where they need to be met. Like, how does that work for you?
Yeah, I have 8 different salespeople and they get managed 8 different ways. Essentially it's the same way, but with 8 different nuances because the personalities are just extremely different. I've coached different people in my life, really high level athletes that
Hmm.
are, going off to Naval Academy or Coast Guard or, you know, professional sports. And then I've coached kids that are just practice players and they get that. And they're using us as much as we're using them because they get priority registration and everything else. And that's
Sure.
cool. Like if everybody knows where their spot is, then nobody can be upset,
Yeah.
right? And high level athletes need different, like that top 1% performer needs something different than everybody else. And you have to spend time with them to know that
Yeah.
in and out of activity. Same with what I do right now. If you don't know how your sales rep's mind works and what motivates them about their home life, all of these things, then all you are to them is just a boss, right?
Hmm.
And I want to be their coach. And I do have a lot of people that have played sports that work for me, right? And I want to be their coach, right? Coaches make people successful. Bosses tell people to do things.
There you go. This is actually a great segue because I want to now talk a little bit about that transition that you made from sports coaching sports and how you're applying that now in the professional world in your current role and kind of what that bridge looks like and how you apply the same principles today. What does that look like for you and what are some of the similarities and differences?
Yeah, I needed competition and I was really struggling with that, right? So even my last competition as a power lifter, I was 41. I'm
Mm,
46 now, or maybe I was 42. Nonetheless, I'm 46 now. And so it's like, even then, I was managing a big team of salespeople, but I wasn't viewing it as my team. And I could compete with these people and
hmm.
win the weekly numbers, the monthly numbers, the quarterly manager of the year, like all that. Just wasn't thinking that way. And I was out training for powerlifting, these crazy programs and the punishment and everything that goes with it. And I did that last competition and I couldn't do my body wasn't recovering very well. And I was really bummed out, kind of depressed, and something clicked and I can coach my salespeople and
Mm,
treat it like that. And I can win this award. I I work in a position where the athletes that I coach now also have the ability to graduate from my program and go and earn like a limitless income that could set up their families for generational wealth, right?
mhm.
And it's an industry that this can happen. That happens very regularly. We have quite a few very successful salespeople that have been with us upwards of 40 years, right?
Wow.
So our owner says you don't sell to somebody for 25 years, you maintain a relationship. And he's right. You're gonna argue some days and you're gonna be best friends some days because if we're giving each other transparency, we might not always like it,
Yeah.
you know. Um, I have a team of 8, like I told you. So it's kind of like everybody on the team knows their spot. I've got rookies and I've got veterans, and they do commingle very well. My veterans always answer questions if the rookies ask them, but then there's a little bit more veteran rookies on my team, and they've developed their own style of coaching where they help the younger ones come in, and it's a new thing, right? Like we don't do a lot of helping the younger people get it. It's just like, well, let them figure it out, you
Learn
know,
by doing.
learn by doing. And I
Yeah.
absolutely feel like there's a lot of learn by doing, but If you have somebody that's also doing it and they're further along in their career or the schedule or whatever, and they're able to say like, "Oh, I've done that before, and
Hmm.
here's what I did," right? Like, "Oh, here's an example of something I did that looks like that." You can show it to your customer. And those little things move the needle forward for somebody else, which moves it forward for the team, and in sales, it's kind of like we're a swim team, a track team, a baseball team. There's multiple athletes, and all of their numbers are adding together for the team to win, right?
Right. Right.
So there's individual winners, but then there's also a team that wins too. Um, my team really gets that. My team and the whole division really gets that. Like we are a team and everybody is working for that. And everybody knows everybody. And it's an environment that people want to go to.
I want to talk a little bit about motivation, but before I do, you talk about relationships. We've brought it up a couple times now, and it just makes me think, especially in your current role. I mean, you and I were in that same kind of position 25 something years ago, and here we are, still maintaining a relationship. So I think that's a testament, in terms of your approach to say that's really what it boils down to, right? And I think that's important. And I try to approach it the same way, in terms of, my day-to-day job. I also have a day-to-day job where I have team members that I work with, and that's been my approach with them as well, is develop the relationship first. You can't come into something, look, a lot of it is going to be transactional. That's just the nature of it, right? What we do in terms of our work, a lot of it is transactional, but that doesn't mean that you can't maintain a level of authenticity and just be a good person, right? And keep that relationship solid. So I think that's important.
It's a big thing that we talk about right now, right? Like really trying to teach our sales team, our athletes, right? Like my athletes, like we don't need transactional salespeople.
Hmm.
Go in and provide value. Value looks different for everybody else. Value could be price, value could be ease, value could be timing, it
Hmm.
could be anything, right? But stop being transactional and just showing up to write down things on a piece of paper to call into somebody. If you're there and you provide value, then they keep having you back.
Yep. That's so true. That's so true. So in terms of team performance, you talked a little bit about individual performance, but also at a team level in your current team environment. What kind of motivation do you use? I mean, there's intrinsic motivation, there's extrinsic motivation. Obviously, a great motivator is money, paychecks. But
Yeah.
in terms of team dynamics and keeping that competitive spirit, both as a team and individuals, are there some motivating strategies that you use?
Yeah. I mean, we post everybody's numbers a couple times a week so that they all can see because they're all competitors, and everybody's
Hmm.
vying to be that top sales rep because the top sales rep in numbers, the top sales rep in customers, there is a little bonus at the end of the month for that person. And if it's the same person that gets both, they get both little kind of chunks, which that's a nice little competition. Once a year, we'll do a competition for a quarter. Um, who can add? It's about adding more customers, and that's just customer
Mm.
focused. And
Yeah,
you get raffle tickets for certain things that you do, and you go into a raffle to win gift cards. And you, it's funny. It's like you add that next level of competition. It almost doesn't matter what it is, and you just see these people just turn on, right?
it's just the bragging rights, right?
Yeah, it really is. Like, and then I want it, you know what I mean? And but you can see that and then you start seeing who's like in the group who the elite ones are. Because like
Mm.
they're all really good salespeople. Otherwise, they wouldn't be this far along in our program. They wouldn't be here. And then all of a sudden you do a competition like this, and it's like any other sport, any other game. You see that person like, oh, it's playoffs. And they turn it on, and then they're like at a next level, and then everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, I watched Kawhi Leonard do it the other night. He was incredible.
Yeah.
He it was effortless him scoring on Wednesday night.
Yeah. And what about Bam Adebayo, the 83 points? I mean,
Oh
geez.
yeah. I mean that was incredible. I think Kawhi ended up with like 22 points in the first quarter on
Yeah.
Wednesday night. It was a pretty crazy week of sports and basketball there.
Yep. No doubt. Um, let's talk a little bit about lessons learned, both in sports, in terms of your current teams and your coaching there and professional in the professional world and the professional life. What are some lessons, both from a success standpoint, but also maybe from some failure standpoints that you've taken and you've applied and been able to kind of move forward, move the needle forward for yourself?
Um, Success standpoint, I think like being successful, especially understanding now what I'm doing, um, instead of just being a coach, being active with your team, right?
Hmm.
Like I would get in the water with the water polo players all the way up until the college kids. I would get in the water with them. I go out in the field with my rookies every day. I'm knocking on doors with them. I'm asking them to do it. I'm going to do it too, right? Like I'm a part of the team too, and I help the team. And I think that is what helps me be successful. What's helped people around me be successful. And I feel like it's just a part of our job. Like if you're a coach, it's just a part of what we're supposed to do. I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be out there in the field with my guys, right? We're supposed to be out there trying to win together, right? Like they're supposed to have somebody that they can look back and be like, what do you think we should do next? Right? They don't do it all the time, but a couple times during a game, you're like, yo, coach, what do you think about, and you run it by them. You understand that you have athletes that you have to give them a job.
Mm.
This is what you have to do. To be successful, I need you to do this and this and this and this and this. And they have that list and they go and they attack and then they come back and they're like, here's what I did. And then you're
Yeah.
cool. And just send them back out there. And then you have the free thinkers that you just tell them, go create. And they just go, right? Like, and we've all played and we've all worked with people like that. And you need both of those people on your team because the creativity of the people that just kind of shoot from the hip, so to say, um, it really helps the people that don't. And the people that are super organized and super by the book and Excel spreadsheeted, they don't see things how the flighty folks see them. And every once in a while, they're like, oh man, maybe I could just do that for a day, and break things up. So they
Yeah.
help each other, and you need both of them on the team because every once in a while you need the person that's super organized to get unorganized and then realize, oh man, that's not for me. I got to stay in my lane. Coach asked me to do this. He said I needed to do this. As long as I stayed doing this, I was successful, right? And so that's getting out of their way,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like that's letting them learn and being willing to let them sort of mess up and come back.
Yeah. Kind of that's where that growth happens, right? When you have that
100%.
experience and you have did that discomfort, those uncomfortable feelings. I mean,
Oh,
that's where the magic happens.
yeah. Like failure wise, I've been um, downsized 3 different times by medical companies after winning awards, right?
Mm.
Like not understanding why you're being let go because if it's a number or whatever. Um, and been able to come back and be successful. And then when I started this packaging thing, it was a really weird thing. I had no experience. I really didn't know what I was doing. You come in, you think you're doing okay, and people tell you you're doing okay, and numbers look good. And um, I think my biggest eye opener in the most recent time that I could think about was I was assigned a customer to do a customer experience review for. And this is like a high level customer, like one of the top 20 customers in the company. And this person trusted me enough and gave me one of these people. And I don't know where my brain was, or if I just thought that I was just way better than I was in a different world or whatever, but I addressed it to the wrong name. Correct email, wrong name. Not only did I do that, but it was the most casual email that really didn't explain anything, had no professional tone to it,
Mm.
and just kind of looked, it was lazy and it was sloppy.
Yeah.
And I didn't even catch it. And 2 weeks go by and I hadn't gotten a response. And this person says, hey, so and so is working on a project with them. So I'm going to jump in on this one. Just send me what you sent them. That way I know where we're at and I can move forward. Cool.
Hmm.
I just forwarded the email, didn't even look at it. I was so confident in what I had done. And this person has been in our industry for 39 years at this point, very successful. He came to us from another company.
Mm.
Um, he had only been with us, 90 days or something like that. And about an hour after I sent that email, I got a response. And the first line says, this email was hard to write, and I know this email is going to be hard to read. And then he went and just picked me apart in this email. Said all the things that I just said, right?
Hmm.
Sloppy, it's unprofessional. You know what I mean? Like all
Hmm.
of these things. And if I read that and I closed the email, and it was at first it was like, who the heck does this guy think he is? Right. And then I read it again and I was like, oh my gosh, I screwed up. What was I
Mm.
doing? And, I responded to him and just kind of thanked him, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was uh, a huge turning point for me in realizing that I thought I was doing better than I was, and I needed to pay more attention to what I was doing on a daily basis. Because if I'm not, then my team is going to pay attention to what I'm not paying attention to. And it's just this trickle down, right? And so he lit a fire under me, um, like a huge fire. His name's Jeff, great dude. He lit a fire under me, and it's just been all systems go, full steam ahead, um, doing everything I can for the past year, you know, uh, to pay more attention, be more patient, and stop moving fast, you know?
I mean, that is a freaking amazing story because we talk about attitude, but along with attitude is ego. And I think it's amazing that you were able to take a step back and
It took a
really,
minute. It took a minute.
and yeah, we're
Yeah.
human, but you took a step back and you digested that this person is trying to help me. They're not trying to beat me down and just criticize for the sake of criticizing. They were actually giving you something tangible that you could use for your own growth. And how
Oh
many
yeah,
times does that happen, right?
yeah, no, this guy took time out of his day.
Hmm.
And like when I say he didn't tear me up, he coached me all through the
Oh
email.
no, I get it.
Like
Yeah.
like when I first read it, I read it as him just, destroying me in the email. But it wasn't. Like it was bracketed off and it was like, and it was yeah, I needed
Yeah.
I had gotten a little bit comfortable thinking I was better than I was, thinking I knew more than I did. I was further along than I did. And um, he came in and he big brothered me in the best way possible.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm certainly more successful today because of that email that he wrote than I would have been if he wasn't that direct and transparent with me. I certainly I wouldn't have the success on the team that I have right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm a big believer that coaches need coaches, right?
Yeah, I work with
I
one.
mean, yeah, I think that many of us would be much better off if we all had some coaching and somebody to be a soundboard, really, right? And just to run things by sometimes or set us straight like that gentleman did with you. And so, I look at from this health and fitness side, and I look at and I see a lot of this stuff on social media, and there's a lot of influencers and whatever you want to call them. But you look at some of the stuff they're posting and you're like, that's amazing. Or, I'm reminded of things that I forget because there's just so much information you have to remember sometimes, and you're
Yeah.
constantly trying to review and stay above water with retention. But you're watching and you're learning from all of these people, and you're like, this is phenomenal. It's good to learn from other people and watch kind of how they do things too.
Yeah, I'm not I struggle with like the school learning,
Yeah.
you know. Didn't really I was really spinning. You know, my life was kind of out of control for a little bit, and
Mm.
for years, I don't know, maybe it was I was controlling with alcohol or what I was doing, but I really have terrible ADHD. And I finally went and sought some therapy and got some testing and um, got everything figured out. And at the same time, this gentleman steps in and kind of rights my ship with like a strong right hook.
Mm.
Um, Now it's like I can see in my salespeople what I was doing back then, and I'm trying to get them, and it's slow corrections, right? Because I know how I would be if it was like you got to do all these different things right now, right? We
Yeah.
start implementing these things. Um, I work in a packaging world, but not everybody can fit in the same box, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we have to have different options, and if we do, we can create more successful people.
Absolutely. And I think it's really cool how because you mentioned you got into the packaging world, and that wasn't really your wheelhouse for, before. And so it was a new industry for you. But it sounds like you learned or you realized to apply, I'm still a coach.
Mhm.
You have the coach mindset. And so you're able to take that mindset and now apply it here in your new environment.
Yeah, about a year and a half after coming to the company itself took a strong coaching directive as to how they wanted leadership to act. So much so that they employ coaches to work with some of us,
Mm.
right? Like there's a few professional coaches that work with us, you know, mental performance coaches, high performing coaches, things like that all around the country that they allow us to have access to. And then they allow us to pick maybe one of our salespeople that we want them to have access to. It's a fantastic opportunity, you know, that this company gives us to do that, right?
Mhm.
And to be in a sales world that all we talk about is profit on a daily basis, right? How
Right.
much profits in the order, how much profit did they do a day, yada yada yada. To not be lead, we don't lead with fear.
Mm.
We don't, you know, we are coaches and we're trying to make them better. They see what they need to do. They see what their number is, and we're coaching them to get there,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I think that psychological safety is huge when you're talking about industrial psych. I mean, I'm not an industrial psychologist, but just working in different corporate environments over my career as well, psychological safety is obviously a huge one.
Yeah, I mean they've got this number bearing down on them every month, right? And they're in this ticking time bomb of a program that's only so many months long.
Hmm.
And if everything looks dark and everything looks grim, how do they keep going? So if you can build the momentum and you get everybody to buy into the system,
Hmm.
you know, that means other leaders, like all the leaders have to get together and be in agreement. And, you know, I've got a great group of people that are around me. We all kind of lead the same way. Um, it's a great environment to be able to apply this coaching leadership style to sales, like directly to um, high turnover salespeople and see how successful they could be working in that kind of environment where you take the fear out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I got a couple questions left. This, man, time has flown. This has been a great
Yeah,
conversation.
scoot up
Um,
a little bit.
yep. The question that I would have for you now is, what advice do you have to offer both for athletes, coaches, general population in general in terms of the performance and the coaching mindset? If you could give one piece of advice, what would you say?
Um,
Putting you on the spot a little bit.
I know, right? The first thing that comes to mind is a quote from John Wooden, and it's "Be quick, but don't hurry." Um, you know, be quick to think, be quick to gather information, but don't hurry up and do something. Don't hurry up and pull the trigger. Don't hurry up and make the sale if you don't know what you're doing.
Mm,
So, um, Bill Grisham, he had his own version of it. He would always say, "You got to go slow to go fast."
there you
Right? Like
go.
you don't just go fast, right? Like you start out going slow and you build into fast. So, be quick but don't hurry. And it's a huge thing in sales because hurrying makes mistakes, and mistakes are
Mhm.
dollars, right? And wasted time is dollars, and you start getting people to see that, and they can slow down a little bit. You can still be quick to act. You just really don't hurry in the response.
That's awesome. I like that. Being consistency over just making the wrong decision, right?
Yeah. You know, like Jocko says, right? Like discipline, discipline equals freedom, you know what I mean? Like that's his famous
Yeah,
quote. And whatever it is, right? Like it's sales. If you're supposed to do this many cold calls a day to get this many opportunities a day, there's probably like some sort of data driving that. Like it takes this many calls before you get your first, and if you really want to understand it, ask your coach why he's having you do it. Door-to-door salespeople, they know exactly how many seconds it takes each door they go to. They know exactly how many doors they knock on every day before they get their first yes. And they understand that and they just work through it.
yep. Yeah, that's awesome. So what's on tap for you? What's on the future roadmap for yourself, professionally or otherwise, coaching?
Um, Coaching, I've flirted with doing some like career coaching, helping
Hmm.
people that are wanting to transition into sales, like entry level sales or change what kind of sales career they're in. I flirted with doing some of that. Um, but professionally, right now, I've been given this really cool opportunity. I feel like I've said I'm a lot. We have a new division that's opened, and currently I'm the only sales manager that is housed in that division, and my team is assigned to that division. And I have a great opportunity to just kind of try to blow this thing up, and the company trusts me enough to have me out there. My general manager trusts me enough to have me out there. Um, I'm challenged to make this successful. And what's great about this job is it's the most challenging thing I've ever had in my life.
Hmm.
Every day is different. I have so many different personalities that I deal with. There's no catalog for what we do because you can't make a catalog for everything in the whole world. It's it's a wild industry that lives in a lot of gray area where you're just trying to figure stuff out. But I love it, and it's a really easy thing to get passionate about. Um, and I have an opportunity to, as a coach, you think about what you could do if you produced a bunch of coaches that played for you. How many more great athletes could you produce? Right? For me, it's I have the ability to teach these salespeople, these client relationship managers, to coach them to graduate our program and have the ability to their capability to earn really like income that can build generational wealth for their kids, right? Like it's, and there's a lot of successful packaging people in this world, and generational wealth might be strong, right? But, these people are set up and they're doing very well. They stay in this industry for a long time. Um, how much good can come of producing six or seven or eight people that now have been led, hopefully in a positive time, in a positive light in their timeline, that they see that we like to donate, we like to give back, we like to do these things. And then now there's eight more people that are doing,
Hmm.
right. And then those people touch other people's lives and they're like, oh, I remember. And it just becomes a snowball effect, you
Yeah,
know. Um, one coach can affect 1,000, 10,000 lives. And like I said earlier, I can remember coaches' names, I can remember plays and like where I was at in certain situations, um, way more than I can remember like school time stuff, you know.
sure. Yeah, awesome.
Coaches have me where I'm at today.
Yeah.
And I still talk to my coaches from childhood. My first sales manager when I got into medical sales, I still talk to him.
Yeah, I mean that's a fantastic example of that relationship, of that coachee mentality, I guess would be, is that what
Yeah,
they're called? Coachees?
that
The word
coach and
is
player, right? Like, and I
coach
describe it
player.
when I'm when I'm interviewing people. It's like, hey, what I'm looking for is I'm going to be your coach and you're going to be my player. It's
Yeah,
not like sales rep and boss. It's not this. It's you're going to be my player. I'm going to be your coach, and I'm going to make you a better player, whatever it is. Confident in that.
nice. Coach, this has been a great conversation. If folks want to follow along with you, follow your work, is there a place they can find you, or how can they reach out to you if they have questions, or would you like them to send me the questions and I can
Yeah, they
translate them
could.
to them?
Right now, really, I'm on LinkedIn. I use that heavily. I try to promote our brand and what we do and what my team's doing in the area on LinkedIn. So you can check me out there. It's just my name. But yeah, if there's any specific questions, they can send them to you, and I'm happy to respond for sure.
Awesome. Coach Jeremy, it's been fun.
Thanks, Ray.
Uh, yep, thank you, sir. Everyone else, thank you for listening in. Hope you found this episode exciting and interesting. I sure did. And we'll see you on the next set podcast, next episode. Talk to y'all
Thank
later.
you, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Next Set podcast and today's episode. If this episode or previous episodes have helped you think or train differently, please share it with someone who needs it. You can find more coaching resources at apextacticalathletics.com. Put that in the description, and you can find us on Instagram at the Next Set Podcast. We'll see you at the next set.